There's something strange about money. Most people spend their entire adult lives working with it, earning it, spending it, worrying about it. And yet, very few people ever feel like they truly understand it. Not the definitions you learn in school, not the budgeting rules, but the system behind it. The quiet structure that determines why some people feel constantly stressed and others seem to move through life with financial ease. This is Paycheck Paul. Paul isn't irresponsible. He isn't reckless. He isn't lazy. He works, earns, saves when he can, and still feels like money never quite settles down. So today, we're not talking about tips or tricks. We're talking about how money actually works and why understanding that changes everything. At its core, money isn't wealth, it's trust. A shared agreement that these numbers on a screen represent value, that tomorrow they'll still be accepted, that next month they'll still function. Modern money has no physical backing. It works because people believe it works. And when Paul gets paid, he isn't receiving wealth itself. He's receiving a claim on future goods, services, and time. That distinction matters because money isn't something you own in isolation. It only has meaning inside a system, and that system rewards certain behaviors while quietly discouraging others. When Paul deposits money into a bank, it doesn't just sit there. Banks lend most of it back into the economy. This isn't a secret. It's how modern banking functions. Loans create new money digitally. Repayment removes it, which means most money in circulation exists because someone, somewhere is paying interest. The system depends on activity, on borrowing, on expansion. That doesn't make it evil, but it does make it directional. Money flows toward those who understand how to position themselves within it, and away from those who only interact with it as earners and spenders. Debt isn't unusual in this system. It's foundational. The system makes borrowing easy because borrowing keeps money moving. For Paul, debt often shows up as convenience. A car now instead of later, a lifestyle upgrade paid for monthly, comfort before affordability. Debt lets Paul live tomorrow's life today, and that feels good at first. But while Paul is paying, something else happens. His flexibility shrinks. Risk becomes harder. Options narrow. Freedom quietly fades. Not because Paul made bad choices, but because debt trades future time for present comfort. Money isn't just economic, it's social. What Paul buys isn't only about function, it's about belonging. Homes signal stability, cars signal progress, devices signal relevance. Paul didn't invent these desires, he absorbed them. The system doesn't force participation, it normalizes it. And the most powerful part? Debt lets Paul participate immediately, which keeps him busy, occupied, and less able to step back and reassess. Here's the quiet divide. Paul borrows to consume. Others borrow to acquire assets. Same tool, different outcome. When Paul's debt increases, his obligations grow. When asset-focused borrowers use debt, their income potential grows with it. And over time, the gap widens. Not because one group is smarter, but because the system compounds behavior. Money grows where it's allowed to stay still. Debt keeps Paul running. Knowing this doesn't mean Paul escapes the system, but it does mean something important. Paul stops blaming himself. He stops assuming his stress is a personal failure. And once that weight lifts, clarity becomes possible. Paul starts choosing differently, slower upgrades, intentional spending, fewer signals, more substance. Not perfectly, just consciously. Money doesn't disappear overnight, but it starts serving him instead of chasing him. Paycheck Paul isn't broken. The system isn't rigged against him. It's simply structured in a way that rewards understanding. And once Paul sees that, he doesn't need to run faster. He needs to step more deliberately. This was Paycheck Paul, and this is how money really works.